It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for The Walking Dead. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a very popular theory when it comes to how The Walking Dead storyline is going to end and whether we're going to see like a massive all-out war type of situation at the end of the story, a war that's going to be revolved around the large organization that has come to be known by the CRM or the Civic Republic military. So I'm going to go over what I think is going to happen. I've had a hard time wrapping my head around where the story is going towards, but I think I finally figured out what they're doing and what the writers are setting up. But obviously, before I start, all of this is my own speculation, but I'm pretty confident that most of what I'm saying is going to come true. It might not be exactly as I say, but a variation of what I'm saying is probably going to come true because of everything that they've set up and everything that they have foreshadowed so far. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to talk more about it. Before we get into this, if you are not a subscriber, consider subscribing to join our community if you enjoy the content by the end. And also don't forget to smash the like button and make sure to share and press the bell on the bottom right corner to get notified about daily uploads. So with all of that out of the way, let's jump right into this. There is a very good chance at this point that the final end game for the Walking Dead story is going to be one revolved around a massive war between the CRM or the Civic Republic military and fractions of different groups, colonies, and communities that are going to unite in order to fight against this massive threat called the CRM. Now, not all of these are going to have their own organized militia, but there will be small fractions that do have a capable and organized militia, and if they do come together, there is a very good chance that they'll be able to fight back. Like I said, this is my own speculation, but I'm pretty confident that most of what I'm saying is gonna come true. It's just that it might be like a variation of what I'm saying, so don't be disappointed if you don't see exactly what I say. Now, before we jump into much detail about how I think everything is gonna come together, the first thing that we need to talk about is when this massive war is going to happen. Now, a lot of people are speculating that this final war is gonna happen in season 11, which is the final season, but there's also a good portion of fans that think that this massive war is going to take place in the movies. What I think is honestly a combination of both of those. I think that it's definitely extremely unlikely that this massive war is gonna happen in the first movie, because at this point there's still a large gap in terms of where the story left with Rick. So I doubt that they're gonna be able to fit all of that story into the first movie and also give us this massive war. Although I do think that this first movie will be the setup to what would become the civil war, you could say, inside the CRM, which is going to lead to the massive war that we're gonna see at some point. But like I said, I don't think it'll be the first movie. Now again, I'm still assuming that we're gonna see multiple movies. At first, they came out and said there's gonna be 3 of them. It's gonna be a trilogy of movies, but at this point, we don't know whether that's going to happen, but there's a good chance that there is still gonna be more than one. Now, if there isn't more than one, and if it's just one movie, then I think it's gonna be disappointing because they're gonna have to either skip a lot of stuff as far as Rick's story is concerned in terms of going to the CRM and all of that, and also kind of rush the massive war that we're talking about. So I think it's more realistic that the first movie is gonna be the setup to this massive war, and then the second one is going to be that war that we're talking about. And if there's more movies after that, then at that point, it might be a situation where they're gonna wrap up the story itself in that third and final movie. But as far as season 11 of the main show is concerned, I think we are going to see the setup to that massive war, but I don't think that we're gonna see that actual massive war. We might see the start of it, but I don't think that we're gonna actually see the massive war in season 11, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that they actually need to do which is gonna prevent them from being able to fit that massive war into it. And if they do that, then what's the point of the movies? You know what I mean? I feel like the movies are a better place for this massive war than season 11. let's go through how I think the story is going to come together. The first place to start is with Rick himself. I think what we're probably going to see in the first movie is a situation where Rick is gonna learn who the CRM are and what their intentions are. He's going to want to fight back. He's gonna want to fight not only for his own freedom, but also for the freedom of everyone living at the CRM. Because let's not forget, the CRM is just a portion of what the Civic Republic is. The Civic Republic military is its own thing in a way, but that doesn't mean that the Civic Republic is bad. The Civic Republic has thousands and thousands of civilians, and the military is kind of ruling over them. It's like a government military society. So going back to what I was saying, what we're most likely gonna see is Rick either create his own group or join a group that is trying to fight back, that's trying to retake control and push the Civic Republic military out or destroy them altogether. Now this is where things could get very interesting, because this is where Michonne could come in. Obviously in Michonne's final episode, we saw her see a caravan of survivors. We don't necessarily know what their connection to the CRM is, but something that happened in the season 1 finale of The Walking Dead's third spin-off World Beyond got me thinking that that group is probably one of the many groups that broke away from the CRM and is trying to rebuild their own community. They could even be trying to unite all of these different partitions that broke away from the Civic Republic and build an army and fight back against the CRM. We saw a little bit of that in the final episode of World Beyond, because the group that Felix ran into, which I'm assuming was led by Will, or Will was a part of their group, was the group that broke away from the CRM. They were a group that decided that they did not agree with what the CRM was doing. They broke away from them. So the group that Michonne found in her final episode could be part of that group. So putting those two things together, I think what we are probably gonna see is Rick leading an army of people trying to rebel against the CRM. Meanwhile, Michonne is gonna find a group of survivors that may have broke away from the CRM and maybe trying to also push the CRM out of the Civic Republic. And those two together could build a coalition of militia that will have the capability to at least build up a part of the army needed to defeat the CRM. And this is where the other pieces of the puzzle come in. The next thing we're gonna talk about is Felix and Huck. I think what we're most likely gonna see in season 2 of World Beyond, a situation where Huck is going to go against the orders of the CRM and leave them. She's gonna find Felix again, and they together are going to build an army to fight back against the CRM as well. Now you may ask, where does this army come from? The campus colony of Omaha, which was destroyed, is just a section of the Omaha colony. So I'm sure that Omaha itself will have a group of people that can help in this fight. Felix, Will, and the group of survivors that we saw, plus the people back at Omaha, the ones that can fight, are most likely gonna unite and come up with a plan to fight back against the CRM as well. Now think about it. It wasn't just Omaha that we learned about in World Beyond. It was also Portland. We know that there's another colony called Portland that is also connected to the CRM. And maybe once they also learn what happened, they will want to join the fight as well. So now you have a coalition of survivors led by Michonne and Rick, and you have the Omaha and Portland colony led by Felix and Huck. So as you can see, the militia or the army is slowly starting to come together. And the next two pieces of this is where the original show and Fear the Walking Dead come into play. In season 11, we're most likely gonna see the introduction to the Commonwealth. That story is most likely gonna end the same exact way as it did in the comics. Spoiler alert for non-comic readers. But at the end of that, Maggie is most likely going to take over the Commonwealth, and she's going to become the president. So she's gonna have an army of her own, and she's obviously gonna want to join as well once she realizes that Michonne and Rick are involved. Let's not forget, Commonwealth has a proper army. Nothing like the CRM, obviously, but good enough. going back to the comic material, in the comic book, it wasn't just Commonwealth. It was Commonwealth and the Western Alliance. Now, in the show, we haven't seen the Western Alliance, but here's where I think things could get very interesting if they remix this story and have the Western Alliance in the show be a group that we've already seen, a group that's been teased at already, none other than Georgie's community. So Georgie's community and maybe other communities like her community are the Western Alliance that are working with Commonwealth. So that could make things extremely interesting because now you have a group of colonies that they've already teased at, which is Georgie's community and communities like her community that Maggie talked about, joining the Commonwealth, which we're gonna learn about in season 11, and they can also join the fight. So now you have the coalition, you have the Omaha and Portland colony, and you have the Commonwealth and the Western Alliance, which Georgie's community is most likely a part of. So now you can see things are coming together. And the last piece of it is the pioneers, or the settlers, from Fear the Walking Dead. Now, we are assuming that Fear the Walking Dead will not last for much longer after The Walking Dead's original show. And it's gonna end before we get to this massive war, which is most likely gonna happen in the movie. Who knows? The pioneers may be the last ones to join the fight. And if they do that, it'll give writers enough time to wrap up the story in Fear and have them join. Now you may be asking, the pioneers are led by Virginia. That storyline is most likely gonna end with Morgan and crew taking over the pioneers. And they also would wanna have a part in this fight because Morgan is there. Morgan knows about Rick, so he has his connections to Rick. And if he learns that Rick is trying to fight back against this large group, he's gonna wanna help as well. So there you have it. This massive final all-out war could be the CRM versus all of these groups, colonies, and communities joining in order to be able to fight back and defeat the CRM. This large group is going to consist of a coalition led by Michonne and Rick, the Omaha and Portland colony led by Felix and Huck, the Commonwealth led by Maggie, the Western Alliance, one of which is going to be Georgie's community, as well as the pioneers led by Morgan and crew. And that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. This video probably ran for longer than I wanted it to, but there was just a lot of different pieces that I wanted to put together in order to kind of make you see how everything is most likely going to come together. Again, this is my speculation. We might not see exactly this, but at the same time, based on everything we've seen, it seems like this is exactly where the story is heading. But with all of that said, I am interested to know everyone's thoughts and opinions. Share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to share and smash the like button. Also, make sure to press the bell on the bottom right corner to get notifications when we upload. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.